Henrietta Lux, Draw My Life by Kristen, Josh, and Christian. So in 1920, Loretta Pleasant was born. She was born on August 1st in Roanoke, Virginia, which is right about there. Sometime later, Loretta Pleasant changed her name to what we all know today as Henrietta. And in 1924, she was living with her parents named Eliza and Johnny Pleasant. But sadly, her mother died giving birth to her 10th child. And that is when her father decided that he could not deal with their 10 kids, so he sent them all to Clover, Virginia, and that is where Henrietta lived with her grandfather named Tommy Lux. And Tommy and her worked in an old log cabin as tobacco farmers. But it's all okay, guys, because there she met her future husband, David Day Lax. And all was well. But then they found out they were cousins, and that's not appealing. So anyways, in 1935, that is when her and Day had their first little boy named Lawrence. And she was 14 at the time. That's disgusting. Moving on. In 1939, they gave birth to a little baby girl named Elsie. And in 1941, they were finally married on April 19th. I mean the 10th. That is when they were finally married, and they were married over in Halifax County. And this guy named Fred Garrett was a very close cousin, and he convinced them to move to Maryland, where Day Lax can work at Bethlehem Steel in Sparrows Point and leave the tobacco farm. So in Maryland, that is where they lived, with 2 kids named Lawrence and Elsie. And there they had little David Jr., little Debbie, known as Deborah, and their final son, Joseph. But before they had Joseph, she was noticing some worrisome bleeding and a lump on her cervix. And that same year, Elsie was developmentally disabled. So then they had to take her over to the Hospital of the Negro Insane. And in 1951, of January 29th, after having Joseph, Henrietta finally decided to go to the hospital for her tight knot in her cervix area. And that was Johns Hopkins Hospital where she went to. And that is where she met her physician named Howard Jones. And Howard Jones told Henrietta that she had cervical cancer. So during her treatments over at Hopkins Hospital, there was a doctor named George Guy. And that doctor took 2 samples without her permission of her cancer. And on October 4th of 1951, that is when Henrietta flatlines. Her cells still live on today, though. They are known as HeLa cells now, and they were shipped all over the world. And since her cells never die, they can't even come up with the number of HeLa cells. And then this girl named Rebecca Skloot was very curious about the immortal life of Henrietta Lux. She even wrote a book about it. The end.